Welcome back to Introduction to Business. And today we take a really different track. We're going to talk about business and ethics. Ooh, go figure. Who would think those would ever go together? I think one of the things, though, in terms of talking about this subject, is that ethics, you can't teach a person to be ethical in the sense that morally right, in terms of doing right versus wrong. There's a whole lot of other motivations and things that go into it. However, I think there are issues and dilemmas and things that arise that even people who have a good moral compass and want to be ethical may find themselves in and need to know how to address. And those are the kinds of things we're going to look at today. All right, so let's talk about ethics. Ethics. Ethics is, again, knowing right from wrong and knowing when you got conflicts and when there's decisions. Now, there's a difference between ethics and morals. Ethics deal with the norms of society and the laws and things like that. Morals are what you intrinsically inside you believe, so that the society may have some values that you believe are intrinsically wrong, and those are your morals. But we're going to stick with ethics today, and particularly ethics in a business context. And as I said, you can't teach anyone to be an ethical person necessarily, but you can show them, and you can learn the areas where you can potentially get into trouble, even if you have a strong moral compass. All right, so we have ethical issues. Those are where some may have a disagreement over whether something is ethical or not. How you treat some sale in a business. Can that be treated as a sale, counted as a sale, or not as a sale? Is that an ethical thing? Somebody pays you in advance. What are the rules? That kind of thing. And then you can have ethical dilemmas. You're not sure. I have conflicting things. Which one is the right way to do it? So some good examples here is, should you accept a gift from a supplier? Is that right? Why or why not? Right? You can have a strong moral compass, but let's suppose the supplier wanted to give you a pencil. Anything wrong with that? What if the supplier wanted to give you a car? Is there anything wrong with that if you accept it? What if you gave somebody a verbal agreement? Well, here's where you have ethics and morals kind of running into each other. We've heard the expression, a verbal contract is not worth the paper it's printed on. Right? So it's not necessarily a contract, but do you renege on that? And is it okay to give a contract to a relative? You're the mayor. Can you give your brother the contract to repave the streets? Is that okay? So those are the kind of things that people can face in reality. All right, so one thing you want to do is when you're facing these issues is identify areas where we have what we call conflict of interest. That was the case, for example, if you were the mayor and your brother had a paving company. You have a personal interest versus the town. Same thing could be true of a business. Right? You could be a manager in a business, and the business is looking for an accounting firm. Well, maybe your nephew's got an accounting firm. Is that okay? Another good example is insider trading. You have a responsibility to the stockholders, and yet you have interest in your own financial interests. So you might know something about the company, but can you act on that ethically? So we talked about conflict of loyalty, bribes versus gifts. Is a pencil a bribe? How about a car? Where does it cross the line? And we can talk about whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is when you are working in a business and you see something that's unethical or illegal. What can you do? Is it ethical to essentially turn your company in if you see something, or another business person in your company. We talk about stakeholders and responsibility. You have responsibility to the owners. This is where you might have an ethical dilemma of, I can increase my bonus, but the stock price will go down. Well, I have an obligation to the shareholders. Right? I have a financial, that's fiduciary. I have a financial responsibility to those owners and to the employees as well. To customers, a lot of discussion about this lately. Safety of the products. Are they environmentally safe? Do I care about energy conservation? Those sorts of things. In my community, do I take care of the people in my community? Do I take care of the environment in my community? So when you're looking, if you feel uneasy about something you're asked to do, maybe there's an unethical thing that needs to be addressed. Or if you see others that are acting, you see somebody harassing somebody potentially and they're uncomfortable. Well, what should you do? If you're asked to do something that you don't feel right, what do you do? Now, one of the things to think about in terms of dealing with these is, I think let's go back to the conflict of interest. There's kind of two things as I think about conflict of interest. There's a conflict of interest between yourself and another person, and the business and another person. So let's talk about that. So for example, let's suppose I want to sell you some stock or some insurance. I want to sell you insurance. Is it ethical if I'm selling you that insurance, I'm pushing that insurance knowing that I get a bonus? Or I sell you a car, or I sell you a TV and I get a bonus. I'm pushing that. Is that ethical behavior? What would make it ethical? What makes that ethical, or what can make that ethical, is if you disclose to the person that you're dealing with the fact that there is a conflict of interest. So if you tell this person, I want to sell you this Sony TV, I think it's the best. You should also know I'm getting a bonus if I sell you this TV, but I'm pushing it not because of the bonus, but because it's the best. Doctors do this. Some doctors might own an MRI lab. Now, is it ethical if I'm a doctor and say, oh, you got to go get an MRI? And, here's where you can go. Is that ethical? It's ethical if you disclose it, right? If you disclose to the person, here's what I recommend. Here's a place to go. You should know that I've got a business interest in this. It's I'm part owner, but I still think it's a great place, but you're free to go wherever you like. The disclosure of that is what's important. Now, if it's like between the business and another party, in the case of like you're the mayor and your brother is the paver, the ethical way around doing that is to excuse yourself from the decision. You can say, I have a conflict of interest. I should not be involved in the making of the decision. So in both cases, really, you're disclosing all information. And in the second case, where you're not personally going to benefit, but another party is that you're related to disclose it and to then say, take yourself out of the decision is the ethical way to do that.